This is Dev Tips. My name is Travis. Let's build my website. Thanks for tuning in. This is hour 6.2 in a series I call Design and Code My Personal Website in 12 Hours. Today we're going to be working on the YouTube section of the homepage. It looks like that. If you hadn't noticed, I make YouTube videos, and that fact is absolutely nowhere on my current website, and today we are going to fix that. Today we're going to be doing a few things like creating button styles, we're going to be embedding flexible video, and we're also going to be adding parallax for a little bit of fun. So, let's get started.
All right, in our last video, we did the About section, which is not necessarily an About section. I guess it's more of a hero section. It just sets the tone for, the rest of the design to come. But now we're in the next section, which is the YouTube section. So we're going to be moving on. Done. This next section is really exciting because it's about what we do here on YouTube. It's about us. So this is it's really special. Pardon that. Okay, so we have, let's turn on the grid so we can see what we got. We have two columns centered together, pretty straightforward. We have we called it the home lead class for the text right here, and we have a new, we have to create a button that's new, and also we have to add this video here and this background of other thumbnails behind it. Should be fun, So let me show you how we're gonna start. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so we have to go to our sections and basically create a new section. New file, and it's gonna be in Jade files. I'm gonna call it section-youtube.jade. And in that section, let's go grab a column, and I think we said flex center is what we want, so we're going to put a random flex center right there. Now we have to go to our index.html and add this Jade file. I'm going to do that right, or add the YouTube section. I'm going to do it right under the About. YouTube. Saved. And saved. And let's see, what do we want to do next? Oh, we're going to name this section.youtube. Cool. We also need to create a new file. And we're going to call this section YouTube. And let's save that. We're going to save that as, let's see, in assets, sections, home-youtube.sas. That's what I wanted. And then go into main.sas as CSS and add that here under home about. Okay, so we've got our home SAS, got our section Jade, added into the SAS, let's see, added into the index. So let's do a quick test here. Background pink. There it is. Okay, so perfect. It's showing up right here, right where we wanted it. But we don't want it to be background pink. That's just silly business. Let's look at the content. In the Photoshop, it says, okay, so the sentence starts here. Travis is trying to grow up, but instead, come on, grids, but instead spends his time teaching everyone how to make websites on YouTube. Huh. So we have two columns. One is for the ba-doop-boop-ba-doop-boops right here. The what is this called? Video thumbnails, and one's going to be playable. And then we have one column for the copy and the CTA. But remember back in the day, a few videos ago when we made the grid, we said that we always wanted our CTA to be on the bottom when it collapsed. So like for example right here, this one has the CTA in it, and then when we collapse this grid, the CTA will be on the bottom. See, it's on the bottom and not on the top, even though it's on the left. And the way that we do that is we put it on the bottom. That's right. Okay, and this is going to be called home lead. And there's a class on these ones that are in the CTA. I think it's called order something. Okay, order first is the class that we want to use. So column 1 dot order first. Now, see where it says teaching everyone. Yep, there it is. It's on the right now, or it's on the left now. So it's on the left, and then when we squeeze it down, let's do some squeezing. Squeeze it down, it's going to be on the bottom because bottom? Okay, it's going to be on the bottom because what we want is those thumbnails to be, you know, when it's in mobile, we want those thumbnails to be above it, and then below it the headline, and then below that the call to action. Fair enough? Cool. Let's do the background. I have created the background already and extracted it. So I created the background in the design. It's like this red with the YouTube logo and the DevTips logo. And I call it YouTube background.gif. It's not an animated GIF, it's just a GIF because it was a good file size for me. So let's call that here image dot its URL is dash dash images YouTube dash bg dot gif. Save. Okay. And then after that, I want to like move it around and size it. The position is going to be pretty simple. Position center, vendor center. There you go. And then for the size, I want it to be again cover. I just like cover. I like it too much, I think. Cover, and on the section, the color of the font, it's like that dark color. I want it to be white. So now, yeah, I'll have white colors on our text. Okay, very nice, very nice. See this little detail right here in the design where it's outdented? That's a really good detail. That's called a hanging graphics. You'll see that oftentimes with like a quotation. You know, like if you're quoting like this website is the coolest, and there's like that hanging quote right there. It's called a hanging quote. I don't know if it's called a hanging ellipsis here, but we'll just call it that. Hanging ellipsis. How do we do a hanging ellipsis? Well, we want to add a special class. So not all of them have it, right? Like this one is not going to have a hanging ellipsis, although technically it is, but like design-wise it's not. And then, you know, this one is not. So some of them are, like this Vine one and this, but you know, the one here is not, and the one here is. So we want to add a special class to that home lead if we want it to be hanging. And we'll just call it outdented, because that's what it's going to be. So go class outdented, copy that. And I want to add this to the typography. So I'll go base.sass, find home lead. Where did I put home lead? Did I put it in home? No, not find. Home.shires. I did. I put it in here. Okay. If I say home lead and outdented, I want to have a property called text, not tag, text indent, and we'll say 1M just to start us off. Let's look at the design. do back here. Okay, we're going to looking right here. I'm going to save it and see where the indentation went. Okay, great. So it got indented 1em. Let's do a negative 1em, silly. Bring it back out. Okay, that's a little bit too much. Let's take it down a little bit. How about 0.8? That's good. Maybe that's a little bit much. About 7. 7.75? That looks pretty good. Let's put a line up to it, see how it works. It's maybe too much still, but I'm worried about this everyone. What does my design look like? Does everyone hang there or does it put down? Let's leave it there. We can go back and mess with it later on if the other ones down below have a hard time with that style. But here's a problem with outdenting. If I make this squeeze down for a mobile design, looks good, looks good, looks good, fine, whatever, fine, whatever, fine. Oh no, oh, that's all weird dented, right? Weird dented. So let's do outdented and media. We'll just say that max width of 640 again. And we want to take the outdented and just remove it. Text indent 0. Okay, so now when it gets into mobiles, it's gone. No need to outdent every time. Just when it's like, you know, it's a detail we want and we have the luxury of having it there. Looks good to me. Okay, next we want to go back to, let's close this and close this, close, All right, next we want to go back to our home and we have another element here that we want it to be, it's going to be an anchor tag, a link, and the ref is going to be in here, and the class is going to be called a home CTA. CTA means call to action. So this is going to be a button. I want you to click it. I want to call you to the action of clicking my button, and so I have to make it look awesome. And our design calls for it to be this type of awesome, white box awesome. And the text inside of that says watch on YouTube's. Oh, I know the ref right now. The URL of my YouTube channel is http youtube.com/devtips for designers. Save. Okay, so we want this white box here. We want the white box. Does it spans the whole length of the column, and I think it does every time. I think it does every time. So this is a module, kind of. Yeah, we're going to put that in modules. So let's open up our sidebar, go to modules. It's going to be our first module. Congratulations. New file. Buttons. .sash. And then we want to open up main.sass2 so that we can add buttons in modules. So that's 2-modules/buttons. Save and exit. Okay, so buttons. Let's talk about buttons. What did I call the button here? Did I give it a class? Home CTA. We'll just start there. Home. You know, sometimes you would think that, like, hey, Travis, wouldn't you make like a very, very general button class and then, you know, make the home CTA be an extension of that? maybe, you know, but like the only thing I have a design for any button is this home CTA. So I'm just going to do what I have designed. And then later on when I get to like internal pages or something else, I'm like, you know what? I need like a generic button. Then I'll return to this page, which is a buttons. See, you notice that I didn't call it the SAS file. I didn't call it homecta.sas. I called it buttons. So home CTA is like one type of button, and just, you know, according to this design, it's the only kind we have so far. And there are variations of it from section to section. I'll show what I mean by that. Like here it's white with a blue, here it's blue with white, here it's white with green, here it's, you know what I mean? Like here's one that's like attached to a form. That's going to be interesting. That will be interesting. All right, so let's do this home CTA. Home CTA, what's your delay? Well, your delay is, your font size is going to be, is it 36? No, it's 28. Font size is 28 pixels. And you're going to be, we said we wanted to stretch the whole width, so your display is going to be block, but you need that already. And background, I'll say the default will be white, and then we can change it on a section-to-section basis. And text align, center. Let me see if these are working out right. Move this down, move this up. Okay. Oh, center. Okay. Watch on YouTube. Good, good. I need some padding. I don't want to pad the right and left because it does span the whole width already, but I want to pad the top. So padding, let's say, let's just start stupid, 1M and then 0. Why would I do 1M? Because that's why. Also, I want to take the line height and put it at something like 1, because, you know, padding and line height, you have to kind of work with them both to get a good mix. Because like, what if I did, you know, what if I had two, like what if I relied only on line height, right? And I didn't put any padding in, but like, here, let me show you what I mean. What if I did this, but then I did like this, right? That looks nice, sure, whatever. Maybe that looks a little bit better. Maybe that looks good. Whatever. But the problem is if I had, you know, watch on YouTube. If I had a long text string inside my button, just for example, I wouldn't do this, but you know, if that were the case, look what happens, because my line height is so ridiculously long. So it's important to set your line height first. And I said 1, and 1 is probably too tight. See, it's too tight. So let's go to like 1.25, you know. Yeah, that's good. And then we want to add paddings to the top and bottom of that once the line height is set. And I said 1M, that's a little bit extreme. How about 0.5 M? Half of an M. How about 0.4 M? Yeah, that's good. Now let's go back to that string and get that removed. Yucky. Okay, and that looks good to me. Looks good to me. Okay, we want to do, oh, actually one of the big things is a box shadow. Notice this design has a pretty significant box shadow. And actually, let's just look directly. I'm going to show you guys how to translate a box shadow Okay, let's look at how to translate the Photoshop files box shadow, drop shadow right here, into CSS. Okay, so we have in Photoshop we use angle and distance. In CSS we use X distance and y distance. So the x distance is actually 0 because the angle is 90. So we'll say 0 pixels, and then the y distance is 4 pixels, and the size is the kind of the blur basically is 8 pixels, and the opacity is black 0, 0, 0, 0.4, right?
My beard is gone. Let's just continue coding. All right, 106, 0.6. I don't like it. How about 0.4? I do like it. Fantastic. You know what this needs now? A little bit of transition will help that out quite nicely. Transition, and let's say all 0.15 seconds. Make it quick. Ease in, out. See how that looks. Wonderful. Except for the color of this button is the default color of every button. I want to change from section to section. So what I'm going to do is run over to my YouTube SAS and say home-cta. Color is going to be this YouTube color. There we go, nice bright red, and it doesn't change when I hover over it. Fantastic. This looks good. The next thing we're going to do is get rid of this lorem here and add the actual video strip. Let's look at our design. We're going to add this video strip behind it here. And the markup that I need to do to enable this design is I need to create a container for that video strip, which I'll just call video strip conveniently. And I'll show you how to create the video on top of it in just a minute. So for the video strip, we'll run over to our YouTube SAS again. Actually, let's just close out button. Run to our YouTube SAS and create a new line called video strip. Let's make the background pink so I can see it. And then we'll give it some dimension by changing the position of it. Position, absolute, and top, 0. The width will be the whole width of the parent, and we have to define the width again because we made it absolute positioned. Width 100%. The height will be 100% too. Okay, something's going on there. That is breaking out of the column that we want it to be contained by. So right here we see in this markup that the video strip is in column 1. We need to take column 1 and make that position relative. So let's make a new style for column 1 and make it position relative. Okay, now our pink is contained within. Fantastic. So it's our height, or our top 0. We want to accommodate for the margins. So say margin -50 for the top and bottom, and then 0 for the left and right. Now because we've cinched up the margin top, we need to bring it back down to meet the bottom of this, the opening of that container. So we need to add basically another 100 pixels just like that. But that's not going to work. We need to wrap it in the calc function, the CSS calc function, which is probably the most awesome thing in CSS right now. Watch that. See? It does math on the fly, live in your browser. I love it. Calc function, take the 100% of this height and add 100 pixels to it, and that is, it's going up top to bottom. Fantastic. And now to do the background, and let's just remove the background color. For the background, we want the image to be the URL images video strip dot ping. Yep, great. And then let's say for the position, we want to center it and then put it at the top. Fantastic. And then no repeat. And then this is going to be important here because this image is actually just a little bit too big. So why don't I shrink it down using size? So I'll shrink it down, maybe say like 50%. Okay, too small. How about 60? 70? I like 70. Okay, 70%. You know what would be really cool right here? Do you remember the parallax series? The parallax series where we did the the things that scroll depending on your scroll. Why don't we add that? So let's open our functions file, and let's just comment out the ready function there, and we're going to make a new function that's based on the Windows scroll. So we'll write function inside of that. And now inside of this Windows scroll, we'll just make a function called YouTube vid scroll, something like that. Make it a function, and then grab that name, come down here, and here's where the actual code of the function is going to be. Function YouTube vid scroll. Okay, cool. Now, what's going to be in our function? Well, the first thing we need to do is capture the variable of the W scroll. Remember we did this? We did this before. It's going to be pretty easy. So, and we'll say when this window is scrolling with the first function right here, capture the position from the top. How far did it scroll? So scroll top is the how we're going to write that. And let me show you how that works. Console.log. W scroll. All right, check out my console. When I scroll here, we're going to see a number. This number that's showing up in my scroll is how far from the top I've scrolled my browser. Now that we know that number, we can just do a really simple jQuery selector right here. Select that video strip and just do CSS and mess with that background position. Remember, we set the background position right here to be center top. Why don't we set that to be center 0 pixels, and now we can use background position to be what did we say it was? Center 0 pixels, semicolon. Okay, so the 0 pixels is where we want to focus. So let's quote this out, put 2 pluses, and then basically just put W scroll in there. So now that background image will be equal to how far we've scrolled down. Let's see if that works. Oh, weird. Okay, so we do want to repeat, first of all. First of all, we do want to repeat. You see how the no repeat is? We want repeat, repeat Y. Okay. It looks kind of cool. It's like the background, like these, what are they called? Thumbnails are not moving with the rest of the page. It's still out of sync. It's still a parallax. But if we go to the functions and we write, instead of being scroll pixels, so equal to how far we scroll down, we just put negative scroll pixels. It'll be the reverse of how far we scrolled down in negative numbers. Yeah, I like that a lot better. What do you think? Close our functions for now and jump back into the styles. Get rid of pink altogether. Okay, so let's take a look at the design here. We have the design, and we need to find a way to embed that video onto the page and make it playable. I have an embed code for the video. I want to put it inside of this J document here. And I want to put it inside of another div, and I'll call that flex video. Does that sound familiar, flex video? It should. Let's go over to foundation, components flex video. Now Foundation CSS framework has a lot of great things going on for it. One of them is the very smart way that they did the flex video. Now if we do just a really quick inspect element on their flex video here, player, let's see. Okay, there's two things we want to pay attention to. I want to pay attention to the iframe and the class of flex video. So flex video is going to have this. Let's go into our project here and add a new file into our modules section. We'll call it flexvideo.sas. And then we need to add that into the main.sas too. And we'll call it flex video. And that's in two modules. All right, let's say flex video, and basically let's just steal this. Copy and paste. All right, looks good. But they have a lot of stuff that we don't really want, like this margin bottom stuff. Don't need that. Overflow hidden, yeah. Padding bottom, we do. Padding top, we don't want that. Okay, don't need any of that stuff. And then there's this iframe, which we need to grab, and it looks like this. All right, while we're stealing code, let me just explain what we're doing right here. So Flex Video class is going to be a wrapper around which we put the embed that we made. For example, how we've done here with Flex Video, and then inside we put an iframe. Now, the Flex Video class in our SAS says that the Flex Video wrapper will have a height of 0 and its position will be relative. And the child of that, here's the iframe, it will be position absolute, top and left 0, height and width 100%. So it will stretch to fill whatever the proportions of this are. Now the secret sauce right here is this padding bottom. The padding bottom 67%. That is a special secret sauce. Secret sauce. That's a special kind of trick in CSS that the padding top or bottom percentage is equal or is based off of the width of the element, right? Of its parent element. This will actually maintain an aspect ratio. Right now it's 67.5. Let's take a look at that. I think it's going to be a little bit too wide. Okay, so that's meant for like videos that are a little bit wider than what we have. Let me mess around with it and we'll get a good proportion here. We want to look at the Flex Video. Okay, so 67.5 is not what we want. We want about, right there, what is that, 56. All right, fantastic, that looks great. But it's not exactly what we want. See, it needs more room. Let's take the call one here and add some height to it. We want it to be about, let's look at the design here in Photoshop. Ooh, about 540 pixels tall. Is that true? 540 pixels tall. That is pretty tall. We don't need it to be that tall. How about 500? Ooh, that's 5,500. Still a little bit much. How about 400? I think that's reasonable. But now we have to make these elements centered in, okay? So we'll say column 1, because both of these things are column 1 right here. Let's make them display flex so that we can center their children. Align items. Okay, so that's not at all what we want. We want to say flex direction a column. That way it's more of a, yeah, there we go. And then we'll say justify what? Content center? Ah, there we go. Now that is looking snappy. All right, let's put that drop shadow. If we refer back to our design, there's a pretty hefty drop shadow on this video. Let's target the flex video, but it doesn't need to be the module of flex video. This needs to be a modifier within the, what is this thing called? The home YouTube section, right? So inside of YouTube section, we'll grab flex video and we'll put a box shadow on it. 0 pixels offset, maybe like 4 from the top. And then we want the spread to be really hefty, like 40, and then this is going to be, actually this is going to be the blur. We have hefty blur and then a spread of 3 to make it just a little bit thicker around the edge. And RGBA, we'll just say like, 0.5. That looks actually pretty freaking good now that I'm looking at it. How about this? It looks a little bit small, this video, right? I mean, we can click and play it right here. Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Travis and this is Dev Tips. Look at that beard. This video is it's beautiful. I miss my beard. Anyway, let's say transform scale. Transform scale. How big do we want this to go? Let's say we want it to go like a whole 50% larger. Well, that's big. I like it. Let's try this. That's good too. I'm into it. I'm into it. So we want it to get big, but now we have this like impact happening right around here, and we don't want that to happen. So let's take the type of column that we used here in our design and make it not the centered one, flex center. Let's do this one here, which is space around. Space around? Is it? Yeah, it is. Okay, that's cool. So now when we're large, it looks good, but we squeeze it in and it gets a little tight right there, and that's okay. What we can do now is, now that we know where it gets tight, where does it get tight? Around 994, 988. Let's just do this. Go to YouTube and say at media. Max width. What do we say? 988 pixels. Let's just say 985. A little bit nicer. Transform. Let's basically do this right here, and we'll put it back to 1. So it's so big, and then it goes back to 1. And then it breaks for mobile, and then it gets big again because that's the way it works. Now when we're all big, let's take, we don't need this the strip behind us right now. So let's go to video strip and say at media, and our magic media query is at max width 640. Right? Yeah, 640 pixels. And let's just say display none. Okay. Now we still have a big video and it's playable and it's looking spiffing. Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Travis. I'm talking. You listen. You listen. I don't know. What do you guys think? That looks pretty good, right? Maybe we can do this media query here again. And say when when we're at this size, you know, we can take away that height, the huge like mandatory height, and then just let the natural borders kind of handle things. In fact, let's make also the display block. And so we can do this padding, you know, add some chunky padding there, 50 and 20. Looks good. Looks good. But now we've got too much padding right here. So let's say, because right now we're selecting both of these columns, if we do and last child, we'll narrow those two selections of those two columns down to that, just the bottom one, because these are two columns are stacked together. Like yonder, we're just going to select this guy. Last child, and then just change the padding and just remove it from the top, right? So top will be 0, and then left and right 20, and then bottom 50 pixels. And it looks good. It looks good. All right, let's pull it out and look at it. Looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good. Okay, so now a few words about the weirdness, like with the mustache, the weirdness with like the change. There's probably some like, if you go back and look at the video, there's maybe like some like historical discrepancies. I uploaded this video and only 20 minutes of it got uploaded. The first 20 minutes of it got uploaded, and the other, you know, the rest of it did not. It got cut off. I don't know why. Maybe it was me, maybe it was YouTube. I'm not blaming. Maybe it was you. I'm not blaming you, but it could have been you. Next week we'll be back on our regular, hopefully full video uploads, and we will see you next week, and keep on hacking.